Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Harrisburg City Council Legislative Session. Today is Tuesday, September the 8th, 2020. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Mr. Petrosky, please do the roll call.
Mr. Allett, Ms. Bowers,
Present.
Ms. Daniels,
Here.
Ms. Green,
Present.
Mr. Madsen,
Here.
Mr. Majors,
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here, and please note that Mr. Allett is excused. Moving on to invocation. Mr. Madsen, please.
Yes, thank you, President Williams. Would like everyone to give a moment of silence for Kian King and his family. For those of you who do not know, Kian King was the young man who was tragically shot while fleeing from an abuser a few weeks ago. This has sparked a big conversation in the community over sex offenders in our community and what the appropriate response should be to them while they reside in our community. This is going to be an extremely difficult topic as we navigate it, but it is, I think, a necessary one. And so I ask for guidance and patience from all while we deal with this difficult topic. And if we could just bow our heads for a moment of silence for the King family. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Madsen. Ms. Bowers, pledge allegiance, please.
Will all my colleagues please join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Moving on to communications tonight, we have two individuals who would like to speak. Commissioner Carter and Mr. Johnson, are you on?
Yes, Commissioner Carter's here.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Carter.
Hello, honorable city council members. I don't dab into politics or anything like that. I am a police officer, commissioner. That's what I love doing. And I don't want to be anything else. And so please don't be offended by what I'm about to say. But I heard that Gloria Martin Roberts, she was looking at being employed by the city of Harrisburg. I personally feel it'd be a great fit for the city of Harrisburg. She's a well-known fixture in the city. She's done an awful lot for everybody. And I can think of a million things that she can help me to do to bring my police agency closer to the people that we're providing service for. So I just wanted to just say that. Again, I am no politician, so don't think I'm trying to be a politician or anything like that, because that is not the case. But I just feel I just had to just let you know how I felt about that. And I'll be happy to have her employed by the city of Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter, for your kind words of support. Mr. Johnson? Moment, is Mr. Johnson on tonight?
Not see him in the attendee list.
Okay. Moving on to courtesy of the floor, Mr. Petrosky, is there anyone there would like to speak?
There's three public comments submitted. The first one is submitted by Rafika Mohammed regarding resolution 69 of 2020. She says it was an excellent insight on behalf of the Papenfuss administration to recognize the need for local representation, consultation, and Gloria Martin Roberts for senior management, consulting services, and intergovernmental communications liaison, not only recognizing the need for a liaison between the city of residents and its local government, but having a level of comfort and understanding for tough criticism, honest factual guidance, and solid solutions that Gloria Roberts can bring. The Papenfuss administration knows the exceptional work that Gloria Roberts has done and is still doing for our city, from healthcare, food safety, to housing, to environmental justice, human relations, criminal justice, as well as our city economic well-being. This was an awesome choice. Gloria has deepest passion for Harrisburg and its residents. She's constantly working for us all hours of the day and night. I've never heard a complaint her complain because she loves the city. Thank you so much for your service, Gloria. You're a rare gem among us and will be a great asset to our residents, council, and the administration. And thank you, City Council, for all your hard work that you do for the residents of our city. Keep the momentum flowing. The second comment is from LaTroy Wilson. It was submitted that she wrote, with the recent tragic event that unfolded on Allison Hill, what notifications or regulation requirements are being put in place to warn citizens of Harrisburg that dangerous violent predators could be in our neighborhood? And then the third public comment was submitted by Elaine Groff. She asked, what is Gloria Martin Roberts' experience and education in the communications field? Has she held professional communication positions? I haven't seen anything on her professional background and would be grateful to hear what qualifications and experience Ms. Roberts would bring to the communication liaison position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Johnson's not on, moment. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to approval of minutes. Approval of legislative session minutes of August 25th, 2020. Are there any omissions, deletions, or corrections, council members? Hearing none, minutes will stand approved. Moving on to reports of committees. Report from Chair Allett on the work session of September the 1st, 2020. Mr. Allett is not available this evening, so he will submit his report at the next legislative session. Report from Chair Bowers on the work session of September the 1st, 2020. Ms. Bowers, are you ready with your report?
Yes, thank you, President Williams.
Welcome.
Good evening. On Tuesday, September 1st, 2020, the Building and Housing Committee met during the work session of Harrisburg City Council to discuss a resolution which at the time of discussion was not numbered. However, the resolution is now resolution number 72 of 2020, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to act as a co-applicant with the Harrisburg Housing Authority for the submission of an application to the Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grants Program for up to $450,000 for the development of a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization strategy for the South Harrisburg neighborhood, and to negotiate and enter into an agreement with the Harrisburg Housing Authority to carry out the purposes of the grant. Mr. Singor Mann, CEO and President and Agency Counsel of the Harrisburg Housing Authority, shared some background information on the grant program. Mr. Mann shared that 10 grants are awarded nationally. In Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh are past grant recipients. He believes Harrisburg is a viable candidate for an award. Mr. Adam Rosa, principal of Collabo Planning, shared a brief PowerPoint presentation providing an overview of the planning process. The plan area includes Hubert Homes and South Harrisburg, including Hall Manor and neighboring businesses. Ms. Nona Watson, director of the Department of Economic Development for the City of Harrisburg, shared the city's interest in partnering with the Harrisburg Housing Authority. The grant is a 2-year agreement with an application deadline of September 14, 2020. I urge my colleagues to support this worthy investment in South Harrisburg. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Report from Chair Mattson on the work session of September the 1st, 2020. Mr. Mattson, are you ready with your report?
I am.
Thank you.
On September the 1st, the Community and Economic Development Committee discussed Resolution 20. Resolution 20 was a resolution approving the revised lot consolidation and preliminary final land development plan submitted by Eric Darr on behalf of Harrisburg University to construct a new 11-story institutional building consisting of university classrooms and a service unit. The committee received an update on the land development plan from Dr. Eric Darr. Committee members asked questions regarding the project. Of note was a back and forth around funding and bonds and local MWBE participation and outreach to the community. It should be noted that President Williams and myself met with HU and their team to discuss their outreach plan prior to the committee meeting. A summary of the plan was provided to council members. However, per the conversation the committee had with HU, I as chair moved that the resolution would move forward on the condition my colleagues were satisfied with the outreach plan. Per my conversations with my colleagues late last week, felt that the group would like more information or more details on some of the outreach plans. So President Williams and I will be meeting with HU later this week to hash out some of those plans and provide it back to council and hopefully move the resolution forward for a final vote at our next legislative session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mattson.
Thank you.
Moving on for ordinance of first reading this evening, colleagues, we have none. Ordinance for amendment, we have none. Ordinance for final passage, we have none as well. We now move on to resolution 63 of 2020. Mr. Petrosky, please read it into record.
Resolution 63 of 2020 is a resolution ratifying a contract amendment between the City of Harrisburg and Marsh and McLennan Agency to provide aid to the city in the development and management of a request for proposals to solicit new pricing and vendors for its medical, prescription, dental, vision, and life insurance programs.
Are there any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote. Mr. Petrosky.
Mr. Allett, Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
yes,
Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 63 passes.
thank you. Moving on to resolution 64.
Resolution 64 of 2020 is a resolution ratifying the submission of an application to the 2020 Dauphin County CARES Act Municipal Grant Program for up to $11,187,703.
Are there any additional questions or comments, council members?
yes. Just a comment. Just due to my employment, I am going to abstain and or recuse myself from voting on resolution 64.
Thank you, Mr. Majors. That's understandable. Any other additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote. Mr. Petrosky.
Mr. Allett, Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors has recused himself, Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 64 passes.
thank you. Moving on to resolution 69 of 2020.
Resolution 69 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing and approving a senior management consulting services agreement for intergovernmental communications liaison services.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Oh,
Okay. Moved by Ms. Daniels, second by,
second.
okay, Mr. Green. Okay, thank you. Before we do that, Mr. Johnson, are you on the phone? Okay, moving on. Any questions? Ms. Daniels had a question for Mr. Mr. Grover.
Right, so Neil, can you go over on the record, like what the ethical implications are? And I had asked earlier and you started to answer, but did you discuss the possibility of her not having a role in Impact Harrisburg in order to take this contract?
Neil, you are on mute.
I'm mute again. I apologize. My fingers are slow on these mute buttons. I don't know that it's been contemplated that Ms. Martin Roberts would need to leave Impact Harrisburg's board. She's one of the original appointees. The appointees were nominated by the city council, the mayor, and the county, were nominated, sent to the state, who then put them forth to the court, who approved the board for the purpose of becoming a 501c3 organization, and ultimately, when we went to litigation over the question of whether we were a state agency, the Commonwealth Court, Judge Ledbetter, ruled under the strong plan case that the Impact Harrisburg as a 501c3 was not a state agency for Sunshine Act purposes. The contractor role for the city of Harrisburg. You had asked last week, and I thought it would be doable to get an ethics opinion out of the state ethics board, but it turned out we're not authorized, the city, to request it for a contractor. We could request it for an appointee. The appointee could request it, or we could request it for an employee, and it was none of those things. It's a contract, and we don't have authority to request them for contractors. I can't tell you why it's written that way, probably for some pragmatic reasons, because there's so many contractors for so many municipalities, but simply that we had no standing to make the request. I don't think I can delve into a full ethics opinion myself because of my role on the board as chair of the board. But I understand the appearance question, which I think really what this is so often it's a small town. The connection of a person to one board to another sometimes creates an appearance. I think, like all of us who are in government, we're guided by the Ethics Act and of our own individual obligation to comply with those. As an appointee, as an employee, as an elected official, contractors have the same. They're just slightly different. It's about not voting on things that benefit them. And I think when I'm unaware of any such proposal that could be on the table, but the same ethics obligation will come up if that happened, in this instance. But I couldn't give you a formal legal ethics opinion just because of the dual role that the court had placed me in.
And that's the issue, right? There is just enough to file multiple prima facie complaints, right? Just by the minimum facts right now. So even if nothing,
I don't know how they are prima facie complaints. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So yeah, so just with the minimum facts, there are multiple. Anyone could file. That's the thing. Like, I think this would be so much cleaner if there was one role versus the other, or if Impact Harrisburg was a larger enough organization where they're distributing money to something else, and that's where she is. But
I have Ms. Roberts. She's on Zoom tonight. Ms. Roberts, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, Wanda, can you hear me?
Oh, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, because
Oh.
I got a family emergency, so I jumped in here real quick so I can, say what I need to say. I gotta get down to Hershey Medical Center.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. If I get to jumping all over the place because I got an emergency situation. First of all, I just like to say about Ms. Gloria Roberts, in reference to how this whole thing came about. It was me who made the recommendation to the mayor in reference to that we needed somebody since Joyce Davis left. We needed a PR person. And the reason why I strongly stand behind what I'm saying is because of the fact that I guess the mayor is going on his second term, and we haven't had no type of a relationship with the county commissioners since the mayor has been in office. And I think that's not a good thing at all, because we can't get a lot of things done. And I've been here 20 plus, and without us having any kind of working relationship with the county commissioners, it's a lot of money out on the table out there that we can do a lot of things, but we need someone that can bridge the gap. And not just for the county commissioners, I'm just talking about things in our city overall. We need somebody that have an agenda that is urban, okay? Like I said, I've been here 20 plus. It's a lot of things that's not getting done. And I tell the mayor this all the time. A lot of times the people that he got surrounded around him don't have the best interests of the city. And I stand behind when I say that, because I've been here a long time. I've seen a lot of things that happen, and I've seen a lot of things that don't happen. And that was my recommendation to him, was Ms. Gloria Martin, because, like I said, since Ms. Joyce left, Ms. Joyce wasn't in touch with the public, not with the urban public, okay? And I get sick and tired of seeing like these black contractors not getting any work in the city, okay? And there's no penalty when nobody hire these individuals. Again, this ain't like I'm sorry I wasn't here last week, but the thing about it is, council could have came up with somebody, you know, but I took the initiative to actually go to the mayor and say, you know, we need somebody that can get some of this stuff started, that we can get some things accomplished. Blight's one, you know, it's big on my list, Blight. Okay, well, we talking to county commissioners where we can get some of this money. We need cameras. There's a lot of things that we need, and we're not getting them. All we doing is chasing our tail. When I get calls from council people say, hey, Aaron, can you go pick this up? All we doing is putting that out for the time being. That's it. But we're not catching anyone because we do need cameras and things like that, you know. And I just feel as though that all the time that I've been here, you know, it's time now. It's time to really come to the table, bring all the people at the table that need to be at the table and really do some things, because we need to talk to the county commissioner. And I just feel as though, like, when we're not on the same accord, you know, as far as like not communicating with them, we hurting the citizens. I really believe that with everything I stand for, and I love the city of Harrisburg, but again, you know, it's bigger than me, and I'm tired. I'm just telling you, you know, I'm tired. I'm burnt out, to be honest, because like I said, chasing your tail a lot of times. And this virus is not helping because, again, you know what I mean? You got to deal with that, the anxiety, the whole 9 yards, trying to keep a department going. But I'm the one that made the recommendation to the mayor. So, again, I know last week, people wanted to know why her, you know, and all those types of things. That's because that's who I thought that could actually bridge the gap between the county commissioners. She had a government, state, you know, she brings a lot of experience, okay? I don't have a problem with young folks. You know, again, I'm getting older, so it's time for me to turn over that mantle. I don't have no problem with that. But the one thing I do know in this 52 years of life, that you still need that leadership, that senior leadership. You still got to have some of them in there. You can't have all young people, because we have lived and seen some things, and that experience, you can't do without it. That's all I'm gonna say to you. I know I'm rambling and everything because, like I said, I got to get down to Hershey Medical Center. But again, I'm the one that made the recommendation. There wasn't nobody trying to pull the wool over nobody's eye. Again, unfortunately, last week I had some business to take care of. Again, I couldn't be there, but I just wanted to share that with you. I was the one that made the recommendation to the mayor, and that was my reasons why. And again, I stand behind that because there's some things that we need to do, and we need to do it. Like this Black Lives Matter, and I mean, it's a lot of things going on. You know, again, when the public is talking about, you know, try to beat up on Danielle and Asha, you know, Brandon, in reference to what happened to the young man. It's a tragedy that happened to the young man. But again, you know, they didn't have anything to do with it. But again, that's why we need that PR person, because we do need to get out in front of some of these social issues. We really do. We really do. And we don't have nobody. We don't have nobody that's in touch with the community. It's very, very essential, you know. And like I said, I'm tired because you know, some of the stuff falls on deaf ears, but we really need to sit down and really do something different because, again, we're chasing our tails right now. So I appreciate the opportunity. You know, again, I ain't trying to hurt nobody's feelings or anything like that, but y'all know me. You know, again, if I can't speak the truth, there ain't no sense in me talking. So, again, I got to get down to this hospital, and thank you for the opportunity. All right.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Our prayers are with you. I understand your son is going through surgery right now, so we certainly will be praying for him.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Okay. Yeah. Bye. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Council members, please keep Mr. Johnson's son in your prayers. He was involved in a terrible car accident last evening. Moving on, Miss Roberts, are you still on the phone?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, I know you wanted to make a statement.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
It looks like her line is muted now.
Yeah, it's muted and frozen on from what I'm seeing.
Okay. Momin,
Yes.
Can you unmute Ms. Roberts, please?
Should work now.
William,
Yes, we can hear
can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I was on Zoom and it zoomed me out, so I'm back.
Okay. Go ahead. I know you wanted to make a statement.
Well, my statement is this, I understand that there may be a few council persons that have some concerns. I understand is there a conflict with me sitting on Impact Harrisburg? And I just want to remind council members that the mayor has 3 staff positions sitting on Impact Harrisburg, and it's not a conflict. I am not going to be an employee. I will be a consultant. And I always check with my attorneys too before I do consulting work, just to make sure I don't have any conflicts. And that's not a conflict. Actually, it's a value to the city because those dollars are used to enhance the economic development and infrastructure of this city, which we all know is badly needed. And I am nothing but an advocate to do whatever I can do, my part, to make sure that those dollars are directed to help improve our city and make life better for our city. I have an extensive background working in for the federal government, state government, and of course I have municipal experience. Someone asked the question, what experience I have in terms of public relations and media. I worked for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for almost 30 years in senior management positions. And in every position I held, it was part of my responsibility to launch massive statewide media campaigns in public health and drug and alcohol. And so I do have a very heavy background in that area. I have a very strong background in management. I believe you guys have my resume or my vitae. I hope that you do. But I've been the chief operating officer of a federally qualified health center. And I have served as a consultant, like I said, for the federal government for many years, and for independent consulting companies that had contracts with the federal government in the areas of public health and management, workforce development, welfare to work, and so forth. This is my passion. This is a city that I love. This is a city that I stayed here during the worst of times. During the worst of times. I have been blessed that I really did not have to stay in the city of Harrisburg if I didn't want to. I could have moved to any suburb, but I love the city of Harrisburg. I still believe that this city can be a fantastic city, but we have a lot of work to do here. I look around when I'm riding around the city, going from place to place, and there's no place in this city that I'm afraid to go to. I'm very comfortable in the city, but I still see blighted housing. I still see young people that are paying rents comparable, if not more, than people paying mortgage payments. And we have these decaying houses where we should find a way to get people into the city to buy these houses, to give people the skill base so that they understand that they don't have to pay high rents, that they can be a homeowner. I see relationships failing. Yes, I have a very good relationship with the county commissioners, I do, but I've built that relationship over the years. I also have a good relationship with a whole lot of people on Capitol Hill, but I have built those relationships over my career. I mean, keep in mind, I worked for the Commonwealth for 30 years. I had to go on Capitol Hill over to the Capitol and defend my budgets, meet with legislators, and you develop those kind of relationships with people. I have, I have the school experience. Now I know that's not under council's purview or the city's purview, but you still have to have a relationship. I hear people for the last couple of weeks since the killing of that baby, that 16-year-old baby. Well, you know, government is not doing what they're supposed to do. I was at a meeting last Monday. We have a council person here that can attest that I was at that meeting about the killing of the young man. And I mean, some people stood up and they were hard on council because of the mentality of the city. People oftentimes think that the administration and council is responsible for everything and you should make everything better. That's a whole learning experience for our community. Our community has to be responsible for its community. Everybody has to do its part. We talk about Black Lives Matter. That is more than just bad police officers killing African-American men and women. It's bigger than that. We have systemic racism in this country. And we as a people want to point the finger, but we have to be careful what we're doing because we're harder on our own people sometimes than we are on the folks that you're saying causes the systemic racism. I'm here tonight not because I'm up to some kind of political agenda. This is not cronyism. I don't get involved in cronyism. I've never done anything improper or illegal in my life. And at my age, I don't plan to. I want to help our city. I want to work with the city council also because I know how it feels to sit on city council and be kept in the dark. I know how that feels. I've lived it. I lived it for 8 years and how frustrating it is. It's not just a matter of having a relationship with the administration, it's having a relationship with the entities that are supposed to provide a better quality of life for the residents of this city. Borrowing the egos out, the attitudes, the dislikes, or other people may be coming to council members casting a bad light on somebody because they don't like them. It's more than that. It's really, really working for this city, all of us, joining hands together in unity and working for the city. Because I'm telling you, this city is in bad shape and it's not going to get better. We have a president that continues to separate or attempt to separate us by race, by gender, sexual orientation, you name it, and he's got it up his sleeve. And it has a rippling effect. I think we have to be different. I think that we have to show our community first in this nation that this is a different kind of city. We're the capital city, and I have always been insulted by this, that we're not treated like the capital city. Philadelphia is treated like the capital city. And they were the capital city for a short term, but when I tell people where I'm from and they think I'm from Philadelphia, what is Harrisburg? We need to exert the power that we have in this city to get the attention of the lawmakers that will give this city what they rightfully deserve so we can get some things done. And I really know that I can do this. And it's not us and they or we and they, it's not that. It's a collective group of people wanting to do, look, we work for the people. We don't work for ourselves.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Council members, are there any additional questions you would like to ask of Ms. Roberts at this time?
President
I have
Williams?
a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'll defer to Councilwoman Bowers. My apologies.
That's okay. I'll be quick. I have one question. Good evening, Mrs. Martin Roberts. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good.
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. Last week, the mayor mentioned that you were pretty instrumental in drafting or crafting this role. So I just wanted to know, how do you see this role evolving? And maybe if you could share some goals, because we haven't seen like a formal job description of what you might be doing.
Okay, well, you know, typically when you're a consultant, you don't have a job description. You have a contract, and the contract is usually written so that it is, it doesn't lock, it's not so rigid that it locks a consultant in or the person giving the contract in, to the point where if the mayor called me and said, look, you know, we have an opportunity to apply for a grant with the federal government. And I say to him, well, that's not in my contract. That's not my job. Okay. So it is intentionally written that way to give flexibility, so that if you call me and you say to me, hey, Mrs. Roberts, I heard when I was at a meeting that cities can apply for so-and-so and so-and-so. Could you check that out for me and see what we can do, what we have to do, and so forth? Well, if the contract said that the only thing that I could do with city council is attend their meetings, then I would have to say to you, no, I can't do that. You'll have to find somebody else to do that. I can't do it. Ask Kirk to do that, kind of thing. Now, that's a hypothetical example, but that's why the language gives some breadth in it, so that we have flexibility in working together. There are a number of things that, you know, a lot of federal money coming out right now that the city can apply for through the county. There's going to be some federal money coming out where the city may be able to apply for another entity. Who knows what this president will do and where he'll put it. But I do know there's some other dollars coming down the pike that potentially we can apply for as a city. You know, we've got, you know, we have a housing stock problem here. I see that as a priority. But let me also say this to you. City council is not sitting there just because they like to meet a couple times a month. I know each and every one of you have your own priorities, because you all sit on a committee or have a committee that you're responsible for. Therefore, you're interacting with the community. I know that there are things that you feel like you need to get done or want to get done, and you may just want to sit down and say, how can we get these things done? This will give you the latitude to do that. You know, it's at, like, I'm going to bring up that meeting again last Monday where a person got up and said, you weren't there, and Ms. Green wasn't there. And what people don't understand, they got to talking about Megan's Law. Well, even if you were there, you wouldn't have been able to deal with Megan's Law, because that's a state law. And a lot of times our community really, they don't understand the chain of command. They don't understand the council can't just go to the table, write up some legislation and say, oh, we're going to pass this, because the state can come in and supersede that. They don't understand that. So it's a lot of communication that needs to be had, I think, with our community, educating them in terms of the process, you know, what council can do, what council can't do, but also listening to them and the things that you can do. It's up to council to prioritize it, but I would be available to help out.
Thank you. I just want to know that I wasn't invited, nor was I aware of a meeting last Monday, or I would have been present. But thank you for your response.
You're welcome.
Mr. Majors?
Yeah, so before my questions, and again, this is why when I was having the conversation at our work session, I wanted to attempt to separate out the conversation around the position and the person, because you know, we all know Miss Martin Roberts. We all have respect for Miss Martin Roberts, and the comments that I'm about to, my comments have nothing to do with her personally. As she knows, you know, is someone who I have a deep care for and will help out in any situation. But her statement was a little eye-opening for me, because it sounded more like a mayoral speech than the position of someone who is looking to be a senior management consultant. It was mentioned about being a communication person with the city and to help us better communicate with the public. As Councilwoman Green mentioned at our work session, and we have all made comments on over the last few years after after Miss Davis moved on from the city and is now over at editor at Penn Live, we've been asking for a position for someone to be the head of communications or a communications director. It was the administration that made the change and of the current structure of the communications department. I have the utmost respect and quite honestly love for Moment and the work that the communications folks do. They're doing yeoman's work during this COVID crisis to ensure that the public has access and we are as transparent as possible with the public in terms of ensuring that they know what's happening in City Hall, what's happening with city government. But his skill set is not to be the communications director. We've all been asking for this in multiple budgets, but we've been told that the way that the structure currently better suits how the administration would like to communicate with the public. I respect Commissioner Carter, my public works director, our public works director, Mr. Johnson, who was umpire and a baseball coach when I was growing up. But this is something that members of council have all asked for, and we've been constantly told that this is something that wasn't needed at the time. It is very convenient, in my opinion, that this is something that is coming at this current time in the way that it's also being brought to us. Again, this is nothing, I'm not trying to cast aspersions on Ms. Roberts. Again, I will go above and beyond to assist her, and she knows that to the best of my ability. But the timing of all of this just seems very, very convenient for me. So the first question I have is, in the job description, it says that she's under, all her duties are being done at the direction and under the supervision of the mayor. So in the example that you provided, how would council be able to liaise with you directly if any questions, comments, or things we may be actually interested in need to be passed through to the mayor before you can do any work? Because again, we're not the ones that can call on you at any hour because you're being paid in terms of through the mayor and at his direction. So even if I came to you with a question, you're gonna have to get approval from the mayor before you can work on it. I'm just making sure I'm understanding that correctly before I continue any other questions.
Well, first of all, I would be reporting to the mayor, but it's not like a subordinate position. Like you all call that a job description. I call that a work order, not a job description.
Right. No.
And so
I'm
I
classifying
would.
it as.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm classifying it as not necessarily a job description, but
Right.
the person that you report to is the mayor. So if
Right.
I ask you a question,
Right.
you're not being billed hourly by city council. So
Right.
council is paying that bill. So if I ask you a question, I can't just go, hey, Ms. Martin Roberts, as the management consultant for the city of Harrisburg, I would like help with, let's take blight, for example, right? I ask you that question. How can we assist and how can we work on something? You would then have to get approval from the mayor before you could answer my question, because the hourly billings aren't going directly to city council. It would be the mayor. I'm just making sure that's correct. So it's not like, so you are the liaison between the two of us, but all the direction for your work is coming directly from the mayor's office.
Well, let me say this. It's not all of the work, because I report to the mayor, and of course I'm being hired by the mayor as a consultant, and you're right, he has his priorities and I will have to take care of his priorities. But the mayor and I talked about this at length. The reason city council is in there is because when we discussed doing this, I brought up city council and the priority for city council to be able to have a good working relationship with the administration. That also means sharing some resources with the administration, the council and the administration. I know that I'm going to have to talk with him. If you call me and ask me to do something, and I'll have to look at what I'm doing with him before I can jump into something else. Absolutely. That's very, very true. But he also knows where I put the priorities when I talked to him about doing this. And one was to develop a strong relationship with council, to be able to help council when they needed help, okay? But it has to be within the confines of my time frame. You're absolutely right. And he's hiring me, and so yeah, he's the priority.
Right. Yeah, he is the prior, like I said, he's the entity that is making the payment. So before any additional questions, I just want to make sure, Mayor and or Neil, the source of funding for this position, where is that money coming from?
It's money that council reallocated for the position before break. And if I could jump in for a quick second, I don't see blight as an issue that is the propriety of the mayor or city council. I see it as a classic issue that we all care about and we should all be working together. So if you have ideas on how to fight blight, I want to hear them. And if Ms. Roberts can help sort of bring us together around a common strategy for blight, I'm all for that. I think your example is not an example that I have any issue with because blight or affordable housing or any of the top issues of the city are things that we should be working together to try and craft policies for. I don't see myself as having a different opinion on blight than you. And if you have suggestions, I want to hear what they are.
Okay, and I was just giving an example that wasn't necessarily. So again, this is where we ask hypothetical questions because we're just trying to point issues out. This isn't the one issue that I have. And we all have multiple issues that we know the city all needs. You know, we all live here. We all drive around the city. We're all, all of us that are serving currently in elected positions or have served in elected positions know the needs of this community. I don't think that,
I was just saying that I don't see it as being a problem. If you were to call Ms. Martin Roberts and say you have some suggestions on how to fight blight, you absolutely would be authorized to have that conversation, and she would be authorized to have that conversation with you. And then she would come back and sit down with me and say, here are some suggestions on a strategy for us to work together on blight. And then I would give her feedback, and we would work out, a sort of joint series of proposals. So you started the premise of your question that somehow she would be unable to communicate with you on those core issues, but I don't see that.
So that wasn't my issue. Wasn't about the communication. It comes down to, as we're discussing, this is about dollars and cents, quite honestly, from my perspective, because she is being paid and under your supervision. I can't go directly to her again. Well, so I can't go directly to her and order her to do work, because that work is being done on behalf of you and what you approve.
Well,
so
no, you can't go directly to her and order her to do work, but you can absolutely pick up the phone and call her and talk to her about issues that are important to you. And she can absolutely convey those to me. So yes, you can't give her a directive that says you must go and do this, this, and this, but you can have the conversation. And that's really what a communications liaison is doing. It's about, sort of building the bridge of the conversation between all the different parties.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I might say that that's not much different than the other management positions that report to the mayor. They're staff persons, but they still report to the mayor, and council doesn't call up staff and demand that they do anything. I mean, because that's not within their purview. So it would be the same type of thing. Listen, let me be honest, because for those of you that know me well, no, I don't mince my words, and I'm going to have to say this. And I'm going to say it because it's been said to me in the last 2 weeks by a couple different people who indicated that there are some council members that are opposed to this because the mayoral election is coming up next year. And if I get in and I'm doing a yeoman's job for the city, that gives favor to the mayor. And, listen, the mayor knows, and he can validate this. I told him I will have no involvement at all in the mayoral contest on his behalf or anybody else's behalf. I'm not getting involved with it. I am involved with this contract to prayerfully and help the city, a better city. It's been a long, long time, and we're stagnant. We're at a standstill. And I would think that for those of you that know me well, and you know I'm honest, I'm ethical. I'm not in here to do anything dirty. The word cronyism was mentioned. I take offense to that because, like I said, I've never been involved in anything illegal or unethical. And so all I can do is, if you know me and you know about me, then you know I'm going to get in here. I'm going to work with this council honorably. And as the mayor said, you know, you can call me. It's my job to make sure that we bridge whatever gaps that occur, no matter what the system is. And we have a lot of gaps right now, and it's causing us money and resources because of those gaps. And I'm astutely aware of that. The other thing is, there's nothing that any of you do that I don't know about in terms of city council work, because I've been there. I sat there for 8 years. I chaired all of these committees at some point. And I stay in tune with what's going on in my city. My city, just like it's your city, I'm a resident here. My city, Harrisburg. And I have the deepest respect for what city council does. So I have no agenda other than what I've just stated.
Ms. Green, do you have any questions? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayhew, are you done?
Sorry, no further questions for me at this time.
Ms. Green, do you have any questions?
I don't really have any questions, but is this the proper time to make suggestions for amendments?
Go ahead, go ahead.
I'd like to propose 3 amendments. The first being, I'd like the contract to be 6 months in length. That way we can evaluate this position and how it fits into our new communication structure, as the mayor has made it clear that he plans on proposing in the new budget season. I'd also like to make an amendment that a cell phone will be provided by the city so that we can have a direct line of communications outside of Ms. Roberts' personal cell phone, because if this is supposed to be a communications liaison position, it's important for us to have an official line of communication. And I'd also like to specifically emphasize that this position will serve as an emergency communications liaison between the administration and council during times of emergency, which is where this conversation for the position that was proposed before we went on hiatus originally came from. The communications director position was eliminated by the administration, and it seems like a lot of this role fills that void, which council was against eliminating to begin with. So the purpose of the position we originally put forth was an emergency communication liaison. So I'd like to make sure that's specifically emphasized in this piece before it would, before I could even support it.
What is an emergency? What do you mean by that?
So during times of emergency, so when there are events happening in the city, and like, for instance, it was like the march that was going on, or the protest that was going on, and things took place very quickly. And it seems like we weren't getting communication fast enough between the administration and council and the police department about what was going on. We were hearing more stuff from the public or from us from being down there where we're trying to communicate with each other. But having an official line of communication during times like that is very important. And I think that it would serve us well in our emergency and disaster preparedness plan to have an emergency communications point person that if something's going on, it's their job to filter that information to everyone simultaneously so that we're all on the same page. So if we're getting calls, you know, I'm not saying one thing and President Williams is saying another thing. We're all on the same page.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Those are 3 amendments that I would put forth for this contract.
Well, I would agree with the second and third amendment. I just don't, I think I have a problem with the first one. And the reason being that you want it for 6 months. I would ask that for the first amendment that we ask for a quarterly report for the duration of the time that the mayor had asked for her contract. Every quarter she comes to before city council just to give us an update of what she's done and where we're, who she's been in conversation with, how she's unified with the commissioners or any other individuals in the Commonwealth or representatives. But I don't want to see just a 6-month period. I'd rather go for the duration for the 18 months. We're in September right now, so you're talking about coming back in March. I think we should just go for the total. Now we're looking at about 16 months.
I appreciate your comments. I understand your point. I'm still going to stick with my 6 months just because I want to see where it fits into the plan. I mean, it's an amendment, it's to be voted on. So if, pass, if you want to suggest a different time,
Right.
those are just the amendments that I put forth. So we can vote on all of them separately.
Yes, I would take yours as well. I mean, we can do all of them together, but I just agree with the number 1 amendment, that's all. And it's nothing to do with the, my relationship with Ms. Roberts or not. I want to make sure everybody's certain about that. I just would like to see, will she do a quarterly report to give us an update of what's going on, what she's doing, instead of doing evaluation, because I don't think we should be doing the evaluation. I think the mayor should be keeping us updated on an evaluation period with her, because he is the one that she will be reporting to.
I definitely agree with that. I would appreciate seeing quarterly reporting as well. As far as the length of time, this has nothing to do with Ms. Roberts per se, as the individual, as Councilman Majors has said before. But I know that in general, when it comes to some of our consulting contracts, getting reporting back is not always
right
on time. So,
we have never given our consultants a 6-month contract. We've always given them a 12-month contract or a 24-month contract. I think it's useless giving someone a 6-month contract. I don't know. Have we ever done that, Neil? Have we ever given anyone a 6-month contract? Are you still here?
I am still here. I don't know, Madam President. I'm sure there was one for something odd that was a very specific task as opposed to a
Well, I know
consulting.
we did a part-time and we did it for 6 months. And it was only temporary because we needed the services of that individual because we had someone who was out on sick leave. And I know
think
we did.
they were tech people or maternity leave fill-ins or things
Right.
like
I
that.
know we did that only for 6 months, but I've not known that we did a contract for temporary employment for 6 months.
I would ask Councilwoman Green and the council president, paragraph 3 provides for a quarterly written report.
Okay.
Is there something more that you're looking for or something different?
Paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3, towards the end of it, it has a Ms. Martin Roberts shall facilitate or follow-up communication between the mayor and others. The consultant shall provide a written quarterly report to
Right.
briefly summarize the work
Okay.
performed.
Okay.
So,
Okay, making recommendations. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Ms. Green, does that satisfy what your concern was?
yes, I didn't originally ask for a quarterly report. I was agreeing with President Williams that I would like to have a quarterly report, but I thought it was already included in there. I wasn't sure if it was just for the mayor, and maybe that's why President Williams had brought it forth. But I hadn't originally asked for a quarterly report. It was for 6 months and for a cell phone, and for it specifically to mention an emergency communications liaison between the administration and council. Those were 3 amendments I put forth.
So I will note, I think the quarterly is already in there and it's a public document the minutes it's issued. It's not it's to the city, it's to the mayor, but it's a public document. And I'm sure the mayor and council can coordinate whether there's a presentation with that or not. I think it probably would depend on the issues that are on the table at that time. The cell phone can or cannot be within the contract. I think either way, I think if the mayor is agreeable that Ms. Roberts gets a cell phone and she's agreeable to have one, that's a simple, doable thing. We already have a computer in there, I think, a laptop as well.
Right.
And the last issue, I think the mayor and Ms. Roberts have to be clear what the request is precisely. Why and what does that look like? And I'm not sure how specific we can put that into a contract and how clearly we can define that, because emergencies sort of vary. I understand the intent of it, and I think what's happened this past summer shows why the council is requesting it. it's just a very hard thing to define contractually, other than the fact that it's going to happen.
Are you
Believe in your skills, Neil.
Are you stating about the emergency liaison?
Right.
Yeah, you're right. That language, if that was in there, Ms. Green had asked about it, you know, such a provision, Ms. Roberts would have to be agreeable to it as part of the contract. The mayor, as recommending the contract, would have to be agreeable to it. Council can always vote to put it in, but then the two parties would have to sign it on the other side. So it's better to have it worked out before we vote on some amendment, you know, just being frank about it, than voting on an amendment that's unsignable for either party.
No, we're looking for an individual who could communicate with us when there's emergency issues. Just like, you know, when there's a shooting in City Harrisburg and it's hit Facebook and City Council gets numerous calls, or when there's a flood somewhere or something, you know, power outage. I mean, we had so many emergency issues that we are the last to be notified. We want to be notified so that, you know, we don't see it on Facebook or we don't get inundated with calls. Are people knocking on your door and asking you, well, why has this happened or what had happened? You don't get that. We get that. So we need that individual to be on an emergency basis so that the mayor can contact her immediately and she can get that information out to City Council right away.
Madam President, I'm not taking a position. I'm asking about language, ma'am.
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
lawyer, so.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, how do you want to word that? How do you see wording that on a legal basis to fit this in the contract?
I see keeping it very simple, that it's the intent of the mayor and the council that Ms. Martin Roberts should be available for emergency communications between the council and Roberts for issues as they arise. It can't be every issue. I think we all know that reality, but you know, you know which one.
Every issue.
Right. You know which one's ringing the phones for everybody.
Okay, Mr. Majors, you had another question. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I guess more of a comment. I guess it may lead to a question. I mean, I think, you know, if we're going to consider an amendment like that, I think that is a significant change to what the job description is, and may warrant us having some additional conversation prior to moving forward with this. You know, from reading this, I mean, it's a 12-month, you know, we're approving the initial 12-month, an initial 12-month period, I guess, to begin when the contract is actually signed. And this isn't an attempt to try to belabor it. I mean, if we can work out here, but emergency communications liaison is going to be a position that, you know, we definitely have to define. I mean, we all know things are going to hit, you know, social media before anyone hears it, even the communications person. I mean, even the police, right? You know, someone is live at an event, they're posted on Facebook. They may even do that before, you know, someone calls the local, you know, authorities. So, I mean, well, hopefully we can work them all out. If not, then, you know, this isn't an attempt to try and delay anything, but, you know, if we have another work session and we can, you know, get some agreement on these things and potentially bring it up at our next meeting. But since we're since we're currently suspending the rules, that's why I just brought that up as a potential conversation, because we'd have to define what hour she's available. Because, you know, I mean, is she going to be awoken in the middle of the night to send us all an email or a text because, you know, something happened? That's what I'm understand, because to me, kind of position is someone that should be a salaried employee in management with the city versus a external consultant.
Okay, well.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Certainly, I've never seen Joyce have to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning chasing crime. And I think that's what you're saying, Councilman, you know. And
I'm trying to avoid that as the potential perception, because again,
I'm not going to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning tracing after criminals. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to lay it out for you right now. The other thing is, however, I don't have any objections to making certain that you're notified as quickly as possible. But you're right, with social media, you're right. Somebody can be at a shooting, and like you say, put it on Facebook, and it's already there, and you guys are in bed, so you see it in the morning.
Yeah, we understand.
Also, this contract is between me and the administration. And so if we're going to go back to the table again, modifying this contract, I need to think about this. This has been delayed now for a while. I'm not in agreement, I'll tell you off the bat, doing a 6-month contract. That I have to plan my life better than that. 6-month contract, that's just not good planning. And I've never been involved with the 6-month contract. It's always been anywhere from a year to 18 months or 2 years. But I've never entered a 6-month contract with anyone. It's very laborious to try to do that and get work done, and then you want a quarterly report, which I have no objection to. The mayor and I agreed to the quarterly report. That is in the contract. And so that's my position.
Okay.
That's my position. I mean, we're denying. I know this has been delayed, and I'm sorry for that, but these delays are not helping me plan what I have to do in my life. I do have a life.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. I'm not suggesting that we use you as emergency contact at 2 or 3 in the morning, because I'm already woke up. I'm already waking at 2 and 3 in the morning myself. I do get awakened sometime at 2 and 3 regarding situations that happen in the city of Harrisburg. But I just want the information disseminated to the council members quickly than it has been.
And I think that's reasonable. I really do. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. But I need clarification on what that looks like, because
Right.
when you say I'm not going to be a Steve Reed. Steve was everywhere all the time. I don't care what it was. Rain, snow, sleet, hail. He was there. I'm not going to be a Steve Reed.
Any other questions, Mr. Matson?
Yeah, I just had a few questions. So we know that visibility and engagement is really important in the community. And there's a lot of ground to cover for a community of our size. There's a lot going on. And for example, it was just brought up, there was this meeting last Monday. I may or may not have been familiar with it. I was not formally invited to it. One member may get informally invited to it. But it can be a little frustrating at times, because we'll get put on notice on social media, some of us, for not being visible enough or not attending the important meeting that we knew nothing about.
Right.
And it would be really nice if somebody was in a role that could monitor events, talk to each of us about events that we're aware of, put it up in a summary of some kind every week, and put it out there and just say, these are the events that I'm aware of in the community. These are the ones that I'll be attending. Please join. If it's a hot topic, it'd be nice if we could just talk a little bit of strategy before going in. I know a few of my colleagues, for example, this Saturday is the very example I mentioned last week. There was this march on Saturday, and I was able to attend. We went to the Capitol stairs. I looked around, and I was the only one there besides Commissioner Carter. Councilwoman Green, I did see her later as well. I was asked to I was given a microphone essentially and just said, hey, go give remarks. And all of us are pretty good at doing that off the cuff. And I'm not saying you're going to be able to limit that, but it would be nice to just kind of have some general talking points, so we're all kind of on the same page. Just sort of having a little bit more organization to all this as best we can. Councilwoman Green was able to give remarks as well, but same thing last Sunday, I believe it was, for the visual. That was sort of just thrown out, and some council members were able to attend, and then on the fly we were asked to give remarks. But I think we all did a good job, but at the same time, I didn't really know all of the specifics or details of that situation, so I had to sort of comment on it broadly. I think we all did well again, but it's just a little chaotic at times, and I know that we won't be able to fix that totally, but it'd be nice to just have a more formal strategy when we have these things. So I see this role or this person being absolutely pivotal to doing that. So that way communications is a little bit more organized and formal to the community, and we're all, as best we can. I know we're not always going to agree on things or topics, but try to get us all on the same page so it's not as confusing to the community. That's more of a statement than a question, but I guess, how do you feel about that issue, and would you be willing to kind of coordinate these calendars and these schedules and events so we all kind of are aware into one larger strategy?
Well, I think it's a great idea because actually everything that you go to, the mayor should be privy to, and he should be going to some of these things. He should be visible at some of these things as well as council. But I don't see a problem with notifying council of upcoming events, and even maybe suggesting to you that if you're the chair of Public Works, for instance, this is an event where people have a lot of issues about their trash not being picked up. This is hypothetical, so don't tell Aaron I said that. But you know what I'm saying? Being able to just give you a heads up that these things are coming, and they'll be at this meeting, and you should be at the meeting. Ms. Green was at the meeting last Monday because I called Councilwoman Williams, Council President Williams, and told her about Monday's meeting, and told her that, you know, she should call 2 of the council members and invite them to come, because I knew what the meeting was going to be about, because my son actually was the one that was putting on the meeting. Okay. And so, yeah, I think that's very reasonable. And again, whatever's going on in the city, I think is appropriate for the mayor knowledge as well as council.
Okay. Yeah, that was only my comment that I had at this moment.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, and then just wanted to, on Councilwoman Green's amendments, I don't know if we concluded on anything, but I would like, if possible, to vote on each of them individually. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Have a motion to go back into the business.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, we're back on resolution 69. Ms. Green, you want to state your amendment, please, again?
Yes, the first amendment, I would like to amend the contract to be a length of 6 months.
Okay. He's made a motion for an amendment. You have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments on the first amendment? Call the vote, Mr. Petrosky.
Madam President?
Yes.
Just for clarity, because we're voting here in September, I guess it would be beneficial to everybody to have what 6 months is defined as, from when it's executed on a date certain. Is it March 15th? Is it March 31st? That's about 6 months from now. But I just wanted to ask if Councilwoman Green had a specific.
6 months from the date executed.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Petrosky.
All right, calling the vote for the amendment for 6 months from the date executed. Mr. Allett? Ms. Bowers?
Yes.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
No.
Mr. Majors?
No.
Ms. Williams?
No.
Motion fails.
Second amendment.
That a cell phone be provided by the city as the main line of communication for the liaison.
Any questions, comments, council members on the second amendment? Please call the vote, Mr. Petrosky.
Hold on. I think she would need a second on that amendment, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. May I have a second? I'm sorry, Mr. Majors. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson. Now, is there any questions or comments on the second amendment?
Yes, I have a question or a comment. So I guess to the mayor and or Neil, do we have any other consultants in the city that we do provide a cellular device to? Or a computer for that matter? I know the computer's in the contract.
I don't know. There's times that there's shared software and other things like that. Whether there's shared hardware, I just don't know the answer to that.
Mayor, do you know of any other?
I can't think of one, but I don't have a problem providing Ms. Martin Roberts with a cell phone.
Okay.
Okay. And then I guess the other question for me is the cell phone is being provided. So as it's written, just because I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear, it would be for the senior management consultant. This doesn't presume anything other than the responsibilities or the duties that are outlined in section 2, which is for her to serve as an intergovernmental communication liaison between this administration, city council, Dolphin, et cetera, right?
It is not my understanding, but I think Ms. Green has to speak to the amendment. I understand it to be basically to have a single number to contact. That's the formal number for a city, and I assume a county official, to reach out to Ms. Martin Roberts on the business that she's consulting upon under this contract. If I've misstated that, Ms. Green, let me know.
No, that was the purpose. I think it's important if we would vote to accept this contract, it's important to have an official line of communication, especially with her serving as a member of Impact Harrisburg and having other work that she does, presumably from her private cellular device. I don't want city business to be mixed with what other, any other business that you would be handling to that matter.
Okay. Mayor, is there a cell phone available, or would we have to purchase a cell phone, particularly just for?
We'd have to get one, but that's not a problem. We can add a cell phone to the con. I would just ask that perhaps we just ask Ms. Martin Roberts if she's also amenable to that amendment, just so we have that on record.
Are you amenable to that, Ms. Roberts?
Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be a little cumbersome because I have a cell phone and it's a busy cell phone. But I respect Ms. Green's amendment in that I want this to be as clean as it can be. So if this cell phone is just for city business, that's what it'll be used for. And it keeps things clean from my private cell phone versus the city's business.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I want you all to be aware that there are people that I will be corresponding with and communicating with that call me on my private cell phone about things other than city business. So just be aware of that.
No, but this cell phone would be separate from your personal line, Ms.
I
Roberts.
understand that. And my personal line is called sometimes by county commissioners, by people on the Hill, and so forth. So I just want you to know that.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Please call the vote, Mr. Petrowski.
Mr. Allett, Ms. Bowers,
No.
Ms. Daniels,
I guess so.
that's a yes.
Sure.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
No.
Ms. Williams.
Yes. And Ms. Daniels, you
carries.
have to be, Daniels have to be more clear than that, yes or no answer. It can't be you guess so or sure. Am I correct, Neil?
She did answer yes, Madam President.
Okay. I just don't want to be caught on the carpet again for not having that on record. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Mr. Petrowski.
Yes.
Okay, what's the vote?
4-3 passed.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, 4-2, sorry, Ben's not here, 4-2.
Okay, moving on to the third amendment.
The third amendment, that it will state in the contract that Ms. Martin Roberts would serve as the emergency communications liaison between between the administration and council during the times of an emergency.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments or statements?
Yeah, I guess to the point that we were discussing, I guess currently during the when we were at a quick break there, when we suspended the rules, excuse me. Are we going to, I guess, is the language in the contract broad enough for that to be defined through the mayor and Ms. Roberts? Because as we were discussing earlier, that's very broad language, and I just want to ensure that whatever is being asked is clearly defined so that we all know how that communication is supposed to work.
Okay.
For contract purposes, Councilman Majors, I think under paragraph 2, you would simply add an E section. If that's agreeable to Ms. Martin Roberts, where you would incorporate that phrase of serving as the emergency communication liaison between city council and the mayor. And I do think it would be for the mayor and Ms. Martin Roberts to come up with some definition on that. I think that would be consistent with the way that they are defining the goals and roles of the contract as things evolve on the ground, which I would say is sort of what the gist of this contract is, specifically looking to, as things evolve, her being able to step in and out of them as need be. And if I've misstated that, I'd ask the mayor or Ms. Martin Roberts to correct me. But that is my general understanding. And if that is so, it would fit as an E if that's acceptable to council.
Ms. Green, is that acceptable to you regarding this amendment?
Yes.
So you do not need to put the amendment forth then?
No, it would be an amendment. It would
I was
be an
about to
amendment.
say, it's an amendment.
Yeah, but how do you, are you rephrasing the amendment, Neil?
No, all I'm saying is the place it would go in the contract would be
Oh,
under paragraph
okay, you're gonna-
2,
okay,
section
all right.
E.
Okay,
And it would simply say serve as emergency communication liaison between the mayor
Okay.
and city council.
all right, I understand. Okay, thank you.
And I think, just to weigh in, I think it's broad enough that Ms. Martin Roberts and I can define that in a way which will be successful for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
I think you need to know if it's acceptable to Ms. Martin Roberts.
It is acceptable to me.
Okay. All right, please call the vote, Mr. Petrosky.
Mr. Allett, Ms. Bowers,
No.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
No.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to the original resolution as amended. Any additional questions or comments as amended? Please call the vote, Mr. Petrosky.
I have a comment.
I'm sorry.
President Williams.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry, Ms. Bowers.
That's okay. Thank you. For the record, I just wanted to note that I was not aware, again, of last Monday's meeting. I never received a phone call from President Williams. Otherwise, I would have been in attendance. Now on to Resolution 69. I will be voting no on Resolution 69 as amended. Let me preface my comments by saying that my vote in opposition is not a personal attack against Mrs. Gloria Martin Roberts. I respect my elders. Resolution 69 is not what we discussed during an executive session held on Monday, July 6, 2020. It is my understanding that we asked for a liaison whose sole responsibility is to communicate between the administration and council to ensure we are aware of any pressing matters in a timely manner, rather than reading updates in Penn Live or viewing the mayor's Facebook Live community conversations. Mayor, you should not have to hire a senior management consultant to repair damaged relationships within your own administration, with the Dauphin County Commissioners, or any other local stakeholders. I will not support a resolution that uses a Black woman for you to gain credence with the Black community. If you were a mayor that represents the entire city, not just the mayor of Midtown, you wouldn't have to hire anyone to foster relationships with Black and Brown community members. We have been back in session for 3 weeks from our summer break. I didn't have a summer break. That was a personal preference. I wasn't hiking the Pennsylvania trails or frolicking around the city. We are still experiencing a global pandemic. But what I did do was attend and participate in virtual and physical town hall meetings hosted by the movement and by our public safety chair, Councilwoman Green. Residents asked repeatedly, where is the mayor? Where is the council president? I listened, took rigorous notes on all comments made to offer valid amendments to Bill 8/2020. I am expressing my thoughts and feelings where it counts, on the record during a legislative session of City Council. I am not merely telling the residents that I'm angry on a stage in front of an audience. My anger will be reflected in my vote. I am like Shirley Chisholm. I am unbought and unbossed. That means that I do not have a handler. I am not financially supported by the major political players in this city, and I will not be bullied by anyone to cast a favorable vote. The only group of people I answer to are the residents of the city of Harrisburg. Check the record. I have casted votes alone out of their interest. I operate off of facts and research I conduct on my own. I pick my battles, but I do not go along to get along. During the town hall meetings, I listen to the concerns of our residents. There are serious concerns of cronyism within the city of Harrisburg. Residents believe we only appoint our friends to vacancies available on boards, commissions, and other roles. This contracted position perpetuates their assumptions. There is a consistent cycle of the same people that do everything in this city. It is a serious deterrent for people who would like to get involved, but they feel there is no safe space for their fresh ideas and tremendous talent. I will not support this resolution for the mayor's personal political gain.
Are you done, Ms. Bowers?
I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. Now, as far as the phone call, I was traveling when Ms. Roberts called me. And at the time I talked to Asha, I didn't know if she wanted me to call you. She did ask me to call Ms. Green, but not you. And as far as I'm concerned about the town hall meetings, I've been so many meetings in the last 18 years that I was taking time for Wanda, and I have my parents to take care of. When I find it's necessary that other council members are going to attend, I fully support all of you going to all of the different virtual meetings and also in attendance at some of the meetings that was held in person. I have been for the last 18 years attending all the meetings by myself. And even in the last 4 years, I've been attending a various amount of meetings by myself, speaking on behalf of the residents of the city of Harrisburg. So thank you all for now attending. I appreciate each and every last one of you. You've done a yeoman's job of coming in on council and supporting the residents of this city when they have issues and they have different events that they would like for you to attend. And I truly, truly, I'm appreciative of Ms. Roberts as a friend. It is not cronyism. I do not support anybody putting friends on boards. When they come before this council, I am the one who questioned them and asked them if they have any association with anyone on this council. Hearing that, we will now call the vote for Ms. Roberts for resolution 69. Mr. Petrosky.
Calling the vote for resolution 69 as amended. Mr. Allett, Ms. Bowers,
No.
Ms. Daniels,
And just for the record, this is mostly because there is not one licensed attorney who's willing to give me an opinion on the matter. So I cannot vote for this contract right now.
so no. Ms. Green,
No.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
No.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 69 fails.
Thank you, Mr. Petrosky. Moving on to resolution 70. Could you read that into record, please, Mr. Petrosky?
Sure. Resolution 70 of 2020 is a resolution approving the fourth proposed 2020 budget reallocation.
That would be placed in Budget and Finance Committee. Moving on to resolution 71.
Resolution 71 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to facilitate the completion of certain improvements in the Ongal Mulder Square project to be funded through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Redevelopment Assistant Capital, RACP, under an award made to the Redevelopment Authority of the city of Harrisburg, and otherwise approving the related RACP reimbursement agreement between the city and the Redevelopment Authority to advance reimbursement project costs in a sum no greater than $3 million in a manner consistent with the terms and conditions of the RACP grant.
That also will be placed in Budget and Finance Committee. Moving on to resolution 72.
Resolution 72 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to act as co-applicant with the Harrisburg Housing Authority for the submission of an application to Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grants Program for up to $450,000 for the development of a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization strategy for the South Harrisburg neighborhood, and to negotiate and enter into an agreement with Harrisburg Housing Authority to carry out the purposes of the grant.
That will be placed, I'm sorry, Ms. Bowers, you asked that we vote on that, right?
Yes, please. The application deadline is September 14th.
14, okay. Any questions or comments on that, council members, because we're going to vote on this one, and there is a deadline. Hearing none, please call the vote then.
Mr. Allett, Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 72 passes.
thank you. Moving on to resolution 73.
Resolution 73 of 2020 is a resolution appointing Callie Tennis to serve on the Harrisburg Architectural Review Board.
That will be placed in Building and Housing Committee. Council members, is there any old business that we need to speak about tonight? Moving on to new business. Any new business?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
I certainly don't.
Okay, just wanted to make a couple of announcements for the public. I believe in partnership with, like I said, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, Highmark, and also county commissioners. There are two testing, and there are going to be 2 testing days with the Katie vehicle, the mobile COVID-19 testing unit that'll be coming to the city of Harrisburg. When it was announced by the Department of Health, I don't think Harrisburg was on their list, but there have been some communications with the county commissioners and some other organizations to make this resource available to the residents of Harrisburg. So there are 2 dates that are going to be, that band's going to be in the city of Harrisburg. The first will be, I guess that will be Wednesday, September 16th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Harrisburg Housing Authority, 1300 Community Drive in Harrisburg. Additionally, the second date will be September 23rd, which would be the Wednesday after that, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Latino Hispanic American Community Center, 1301 Dairy Street. And the testing is going to be available on the 23rd, and the testing will be provided by Penn State Health. So we're going to encourage folks that are concerned that they may not have enough education on COVID, especially as we're entering into the fall and flu season, that if they need to get tested or to get additional education materials to protect themselves and their families and our community from COVID-19, that they can show up at either one of these events. Additionally, the Greater Harrisburg litter cleanup will be taking place on Saturday, September 26th. That is in partnership with Tri-County Community Action. Folks can go to CAC tricounty.org to register to help clean up our neighborhood. We can find out different locations that they are going to be available to get that additional to get additional information so they can come out and help us clean up our community. Lastly, I know other council members have mentioned this previously, and we always want to talk about the importance of this. But the end of this month, the census is concluding. The census is extremely important. It is extremely important that our residents fill out the census and participate so that they can be counted. The census is what drives billions of dollars across this country to communities. It also helps determine a myriad of things, including, our representation in Congress. Pennsylvania currently is more than likely going to lose a seat in Congress based on the outcome of the census. And I don't remember the number offhand. One of my other council members may be able to provide that number, but based on all the information that I've been hearing from census takers and folks that are involved in trying to get those numbers, Harrisburg currently is still severely undercounted. So we have 22 days left in the month of September to get folks counted. So if you have access, please, if you're watching this, you can go to census.gov and fill out your census. There are census takers that are knocking on doors. I actually had the pleasure of talking to one about some of my neighbors to make sure they had folks accurately counted in their homes. So please participate. It helps drive dollars to our community, much needed dollars to not just the city of Harrisburg, state of Pennsylvania, and across this country. So I'm going to, again, make a big plug for folks to fill out the census. Please make sure that you're counted. And lastly, we're all here because of the residents of Harrisburg and those who take the time out to vote. So I'm going to encourage people to vote if you don't feel comfortable, voting in person. Mail-in ballots are available to start applying for and submitting. We want to ensure that your voice, your vote, and your vote is counted. So encourage people also to vote. I believe at the LHAC event on September 23rd, there will be census takers there as well. So come out, get educated on COVID, ensure that your censuses fill out so that our community can get the much needed, some additional support and much needed support that we need from our federal tax dollars that we all, we're all taxpayers, so we all contribute, and your voice should be counted in the census. And the census is for any person currently living in the United States and residing in the city of Harrisburg. So just wanted to take a little bit of time to plug the census. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Majors.
Yes.
For your testing,
Yes.
is it required that they have an appointment, or can they do walk-ins?
Based on the information that I have, I believe walk-ins are going to be available. There is on the document provided, there is no requirement that folks pre-register for the testing with the Katie Van, but they may want to check the Katie Van website, and Katie is CATE. If you look up CATE mobile testing, you can find out more information about that. But again, those two dates, and just since you gave me a little bit more time, it's Wednesday, September 16th at the Harrisburg Housing Authority, and that would be Wednesday, September 23rd at the Latino Hispanic American Community Center. They are blocking off space, so everything will be socially distant, encouraging people to continue to wear their masks so we can continue to fight this virus that is impacting all of us.
Okay. Now, the cleanup that Tri-County is sponsored, are they sponsoring it alone, or are they sponsoring it with other organizations? And what would they be cleaning up at?
So I believe
how have they organized this cleanup for the 26th?
So to my knowledge right now, everything that is being organized, they currently have 3 areas that they are looking to have cleanups in, and the cleanup is going to be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. They have cleanup in Midtown Harrisburg, Allison Hill, and Uptown Harrisburg. If you go to Tri-County, CAC, tricounty.org, you can register for the event. It's free to register. Again, they're going to encourage people to be socially distant and do the cleaning. And I will, since we have one more meeting prior to that event, I will get some additional details to ensure that every member of the public has all the information they need to participate in the cleanup.
Thank you. There's an organization that comes out every Sunday and cleans up for from 8 to 12 in the area. So I didn't know if they were.
Yeah, and I'll talk with those gentlemen as well.
Okay.
that are behind that, to try to connect them with
Tri-County.
Greater Harrisburg, with Tri-County and the bigger cleanup.
All right, thank you. Anyone else with new business?
Yeah.
President Williams,
Yes.
I just
Everybody
wanted,
else too. Wait just a minute. Ms. Daniels, you also would like to speak?
Yeah, just, it's okay.
I mean, I'll do Mr. Madden, and then you're next, okay? Go ahead, Mr. Madden.
No, I just wanted to follow up on Councilman Major's point. I have an update census count as of our participation rate as of September 2nd. We are currently at 48.6% participation. In 2010, we got 57.6% participation.
Okay.
So he is right. We were severely undercounted last time around. We're on par to get undercounted again. Just want to preface that is the percentage that we're at. And just to give some folks some context, there are areas that have about an 80% participation rate. So,
Is that including the Melvin census that was sent through the mail? Because I know several people have come out to your door and asked for the census count and taken the census count.
this is the most, I think, response-wise that they've gotten. This is
Okay,
where
so this
we're
would be
at.
also with the door-to-door action, the door-to-door.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also
so there,
the physical part of it. Okay.
yeah, but the window is closing quickly. So obviously want to get as much participation as possible. And I just wanted to add one last thing is the county, I believe, given the conversation we've been having, is having a virtual forum regarding education on child abuse and sex trafficking. It'll be September 10th from 6 p.m. to 7:30. It'll have panelists. It is a Zoom meeting. I can send out the flyer to the group and promote it as well. I know a lot of constituents will want to tune in for that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson. Ms. Daniel?
And so I wanted to piggyback off of Mr. Mears and Mr. Mattson. The November 3rd is election day, and the county's ability to keep polling places open will depend on their ability to have poll workers. So there's a significant shortage of poll workers due to COVID. If folks are interested in being a poll worker, they should contact the Dauphin County Elections Bureau. You have to be available all day. The pay is between $125 and $130 a day, I believe. And there will be training provided beforehand. So if there are any residents out there who would like to participate, that would be really valuable, because otherwise we may be looking at closing some polling places.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Anyone else with new business? Okay, council members, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Excuse me. Pardon me.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wright. I didn't know you were on.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, no problem whatsoever. I apologize if I did miss something, but I wanted to make everyone aware that the health office has received an FDA grant, and I was not sure if that was listed on the allocations for this evening. I didn't hear any discussion about it, and I wanted to find out the status. Is that discussed this evening? Did I miss it?
No, not at all. It was not on the agenda. I'm sorry.
They'll discuss it when they discuss the budget reallocation.
Budget reallocation. It's on the budget reallocation. Okay.
And I'm sorry, when will that be? I apologize, because I was given an email that it was going to occur this evening.
No, that will be next Tuesday, Nalva.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to get clarification.
You have a good evening.
You do the same.
Anyone else before I adjourn the meeting?
Yep, President Williams. Just lastly, as you mentioned, there is an organization that is doing cleanups on the weekends. The group is called Push. I know one of the organizers is Tim Cook, and they've been doing cleanups across the city. So I'll be reaching out to them to see if they can participate in the Greater Harrisburg cleanup, as well as get some information to try and help them, get necessary volunteers to clean up. I know they have a cleanup coming up on the 20th, and the location is going to be I believe in one of the Harrisburg Housing Authority areas. Yeah, I believe, one of the areas, and I'll continue to push that information out as well. So thank you to all the folks that are working on cleanups across the city of Harrisburg to try to help and, continue great work for our Public Works Department as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Majors. Anyone else that I might have missed? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Meeting is officially adjourned. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.